Hello, and welcome to the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Shelly. Have you ever wondered how you can stop having to take medication with just using food or diet or nutrition only? Well, I am so happy here where I have our guest, Dr. Lauren Powell. She is a board-certified family medicine physician. She's a media personality, frequently called upon by local and national television, print, radio, and online media to give a fresh perspective and new information on nutrition and health. She has a book entitled The Culinary Doctor, where she helped her peers and her patients to be able to combine practical and reasonable knowledge, as well as helping them with their disease preventative and curing their medical conditions while utilizing food. So we're so excited to have Dr. Powell here today. Thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Powell, or Dr. Lauren, as you like to be called. Thank you again, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to talk with like-minded individuals about food and other ways that we can, heal people.
Yes. Well, before we get started, would you mind maybe sharing a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I'm a board-certified family medicine physician. I completed my residency in Florida. I'm originally from Detroit. And so it was really during my last year of residency. I was talking to my dad on the phone after a 36-hour call, and he had a stroke while we were talking on the phone. And my dad was not a neglectful patient. He was going to the doctors. He was taking a bunch of pills in the morning and a bunch of pills in the evening, but something bad still happened to him. And so for me, it was a big wake-up call to see firsthand if a patient does all the things that a doctor asked them to do, but something bad still happens, there's got to be something that we're missing. And so that's kind of when I went on this path of just like lifestyle. And we know that food is a huge part of chronic disease management. And so I recognized that while my dad was taking a bunch of medication and going to the doctor, he hadn't changed his diet. He hadn't changed how he was moving his body. He hadn't changed what he was consuming in terms of alcohol. And so kind of went on a journey then. And in med school, we don't get a ton of training in nutrition. So I kind of went down this journey of how do I learn more to be able to better help and equip my patients. So did some training in culinary medicine and have been going to conferences and just researching and trying to pick up information wherever I can, really just to better help patients. I feel like it's a disservice to talk to them about their chronic disease and not talk about the lifestyle and things that they're putting in their body that may also be influencing it.
Yeah. And I think that brings up a really good point, because even the patients that I see, they want this information. They want to be able to eat healthier and know what's the right food. Would you mind maybe sharing a little bit more about why is it important to eat healthy? What type of food should people be focusing?
Yeah, so much of disease is influenced by your food. The data has shown heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, certain cancers are all influenced by our nutrition. And the earlier that we can really implement a healthy diet, the better. Oftentimes I find, it's difficult because patients seem super motivated once something bad happens. And at that point, you have to change your diet. You really have no choice, but at that point, we're looking at secondary prevention, right? You've already had an event, you've already had something bad happen. So before disease comes, that's really when we need to be changing our diet, because that's when you have the most to gain. And so really trying to make it as simple as possible. I had a call today about a friend whose husband was recently diagnosed with cancer. And I was like, he's got to stop the processed food. You just have to stop. And even though there's treatments that are very effective for the type of cancer he has, I told her your nutritional status during those treatments is going to influence how your body responds. If you're putting tons of sugar and processed food and, Pop-Tart, just not quality calories in your body, it's not going to respond as optimally as it could. And so, I try to just make food easy because I feel like it's gotten pretty confusing these days. And so if we can just get to cooking our food and controlling what's in it, looking at your food, I always say eat Jesus food, right? Jesus made greens, he made fish, he made carrots, he made cauliflower. Jesus didn't make Rice Krispie treats. He didn't make Pop-Tarts. He didn't make Twinkies. He didn't make donuts. Man made those things. And so these man-made foods, which you look at and you can't tell what's in it by just looking at it, are really doing a disservice and harm to our bodies.
And can you just define again what a processed food is, just for those who may not be aware?
So I try to keep it simple. Processed food, if I gave you all of the ingredients to make something, to make that item, would you be able to make it in your home? So if I gave you all the ingredients that are in a Twinkie, would you be able to make that Twinkie at home? No, you wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And so it's very simple. If you cannot make it at home, it is a processed food. If you can look at it and you don't know, you can't identify, if you look at broccoli, you can look at it and you know what's in that. So you should be able to look at something and know what it is. If you can't tell what it is by looking at it and identify everything that's in it, it's a processed food. So that's just a simple way. Another thing I, tell people patients to do is like the grandma test, right? So like if I showed my grandmother, a plate of fruits and vegetables, she would know what that is. If I showed my grandmother, maybe not my grandma, maybe my great grandmother, gummy worms, she probably wouldn't know what that is. She'd be like, what is this? I've never seen this before growing up. So more likely a processed food. So those are just simple tests. If you just want to know, is this processed? Is this something I should be consuming or not consuming? Can you identify what's in it? Can you make it at home? Would your grandmother or great grandmother know what it is and be able to identify it?
Are there certain diets that are better for certain people as far as we're trying to be more healthier? Or does it matter? It's just more of having the healthy principles.
I think everybody should implement the healthy principles. I think not everybody responds well to the same diet. Like, I don't think everybody should be vegan. That doesn't work well for everybody. I don't think everybody should be keto. That doesn't work well for everybody. So I think it's really up to you having a conversation with your doctor and just seeing, how do you respond? How do you respond when you eat carbohydrates? Do you feel great? Do you, it's not a big deal, or are you someone that does really well if you eat minimal meat? Like, I think you just kind of have to see what works best for you, and it's okay. But I think no matter what, because I think the thing that's pretty consistent with like a vegan diet or a keto diet is that you shouldn't be eating processed stuff. The only thing that's different between the two is what's your source of protein. Is your animal source or plant source? That's the only difference. But both of them, when done appropriately in the right way, should not be including processed food, junk food, simple sugars, juice, pop, and all those things, no matter what.
Gotcha. Now, what are your takes on diet soda? So Charles Barkley has been on national TV saying how he's trying to cut back on the diet soda. But it's interesting because a lot of my patients, sometimes in order to get off soda, they'll go to diet soda. So what is your take on that?
I'm not a fan of diet soda. The studies show that people that drink diet soda actually drink more soda than if they were drinking regular soda. And that's because the word is diet is in there, they feel a little bit more like it's better. And so they drink actually more. Soda is highly addictive, and I think it's just not good for us. And so I'm not a fan of any kind of soda. Diet, whatever it is.
Yeah, the artificial sugar for sure. Now, how about like different juices? Like if it's like a more natural juice, would that be appropriate or what? Or is it just water people should be?
I'm okay with some juice. I feel like we should be making it, because I feel like orange juice in the grocery store is different than if I juiced oranges. There's a reason why orange juice from the grocery store tastes so different than an actual orange, right? There's other stuff in it. So I think it's just about really controlling what's in it. I have a baby right now, and he's like, I make him green juice every day, and he like loves it. And so I'm making it at home. I know what's in it. I can feel good about what's in it. And I just feel better about that than getting something from the store, but it may have other things in it, preservatives, additives, sugar alternatives that, I'm not wanting to be in my family's body.
No, it makes sense. You're giving him the nutrients that he needs, and it's healthy. It's good. Now, for the busy mom, the busy dad, is there any suggestions that you can help them to kind of still eat healthy, but on the road?
Yeah, number one, I think we should be honest. Like, if you can't cook, like you don't have the capacity at whatever point of your life, I think we have to be honest about that. And I think meal delivery services are great. I know when I was doing locums for a while, I wanted to make sure my husband wasn't eating fast food all the time. And so we would do meal delivery, and it would be healthy meals, not made in our kitchen, but somebody else's kitchen, that are pre-planned. We know the servings are good. We know it's good ingredients. And so I think that's okay. I don't think that should be shunned. I just think it should be cooked in somebody's kitchen. So I think being honest, and if that's something that's, hard and you're putting time and energy into something else, then do that, make it easy on yourself. I also think that sometimes we make cooking to be like this big to do, like this big, like it has to be this amazing Thanksgiving dinner every night. No, it really doesn't. Like today, I took out some chicken breasts and I'm going to make my husband a chicken salad. And that's our dinner for today. I don't think it just has to be this like exorbitant. Sometimes I'll just get a rotisserie chicken and, eat off that for 2 days, and I'll just roast veggies in the oven. And so that's easy, right? That takes me 15 minutes to roast veggies, and the chicken is already made, and I just throw it in the air fryer and warm it up. And so I think sometimes we make it a little bit harder than it has to be. But I just think being honest, using whatever resources you need. I purchased the subscription to Instacart. because I know that having to go to the store while also having a baby is just hard. Like that just adds an extra layer. So let me do something that takes that away. So in the middle of the night, I can order my groceries and put the time and have them the next day. And that investment saves me time, and it makes it that I'm more likely to cook. Because now instead of taking 2 hours to grocery shop, I have that 2 hours back and I can spend that time cooking food.
That's a good point. So finding ways to delegate, I think, is so important. That's great. Now, what advice do you have for someone who's getting started with incorporating healthy foods in their lifestyle?
I would say just start where you are. I'd say sometimes we look to completely revolutionize our diet, but how can you add vegetables to the things that you already love and enjoy? Like one of the dishes when I go on the road and I do cooking classes, I make a loaded spaghetti because everybody likes spaghetti. But how can we make it just a little bit healthier? So I show people how to use, bonza noodles instead of regular noodles. I show people grind up and mince mushrooms and make it taste like meat. And I, show them how we can add different veggies to it. And it may not be our traditional spaghetti, but it still tastes great. I show them how we can make our own sauce so it doesn't have a bunch of sugar in it, and how it's really cheaper and it tastes great and you can prep it in advance. And so I think just starting where you are, looking at the foods that you enjoy and how can you make those more healthy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge and information on how we can make food more healthy so that we can live a more healthier life. Before we go, can you maybe share how someone could work with you?
Yes. So currently I'm working mostly with corporations. So for corporations who want to see their employees be healthier, and not just their employees, but their employees' families. I think corporations have a unique position to really be a source of information and health information for their employees. I think we all know where to go when we're sick, but where are we supposed to go when we want to learn how to be healthy? And so I'm working with corporations to really help them elevate either their existing corporate wellness program or help them start one to begin with a really big focus on nutrition, educational seminars, cooking classes, making it fun and interactive. And so that's my current area of focus.
Well, thank you again for joining us on the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. If you all enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share it, like it, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.